Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria, and today we're going to be talking about some comfort reads. The day that I am posting this video is actually my birthday. I am 23 on December 2nd, and I thought, what a better video to do on my birthday than talking about some of my all-time favorite books. So all of these books I have reread at least twice. Some of them I've read a lot more than twice. But they're all ones that I pick up when I'm having a bad day and I just need like a nice warm hug from home. All of these books have very low angst. They are very feel-good reads with just happy. They're just happy books. So I have quite a few to talk about. And so we're just gonna get right into it and I'll let you know some of my favorite books. Because they're all my favorite books, I've obviously spoken about these books on my channel before. They'll all be ones that you recognize. But the first one that I'm gonna talk about is Smitten by Lauren Rowe. This is the book that I always say that I would love to see made into a movie. I think it would be an amazing romance movie. It is a rock star romance between Fish, who is the most cinnamon roll sweet boy in the world, and Alessandra, who is a shy, lovely woman. And Fish is part of a very popular band called 22 Goats, and he is the bassist, and he's not conventionally attractive. So the other two members of the band, Dax and Colin, get all the ladies, and they are very well known. They're like more of the front men, and Fish kind of stands in. He's not as well known from the band. And the only reason why women talk to him is because they know he's in this band and that he's famous. So he just wants somebody to love him for him. And he meets Alessandra, who is this very shy, aspiring songwriter and performer who has stage fright, and they have like a mutual friend and they meet at this party and they develop this very cute relationship that ends up being a little long distance for a while. And a lot of it is over a lot of it is them getting to know each other, and it's so sweet and just makes you just want to like give both of them just like the biggest hug, and you're like rooting for them to be together because it's just so cute. And I love it so much, and I have read it. I think I've read it at least 4 times. I've read it physically and I've listened to the audiobook multiple times. So it's a favorite and I love it. And it always makes me feel good when I read it. Like I want to love like theirs in my life just because it's so pure and wonderful. Next, I'm going to talk about Culti by Mariana Zapata. This one is a longer one. It's definitely more of a commitment to it, but it's just as sweet as all of the others. This one is about a girl named Sal, and she is a soccer player. She is a soccer player on a professional team, and this is her romance with a coach on the team named Reiner Culti. So Culti is a professional player. He's a very well-known famous soccer player, and she used to love him when she was younger. He was the one that she had posters up on her wall, and she wanted to marry him one day, and he was very much like her inspiration, and her love of inspired some of her love for the game of soccer. So it's years later and she's a professional player, and Culti is not known for being the sweetest of people, and he becomes their coach, and he has kind of a bad attitude, and they end up developing this friendship, this very like reluctant almost friendship, where he's got a bad attitude and she's like, okay, I don't got time for somebody who has a bad attitude. But they end up becoming friends, and then it's just, because it's Mariana Zapata, it's very slow burn, so like it's a very large book, but they don't get together until like the very end. But the little moments, especially with rereading this book, when you read it the first time, it's very sweet, but when you go back and you reread it and you notice all the little moments that are leading up to them being together, and the little moments that you like didn't quite realize were important the first time you read it, but that are like the things that he does that shows that he cares about her even though she doesn't realize that he cares about her, are just so sweet, and I love it. And they learn how very different their lives were and what has made him be who he is now, and she kind of learns to understand him more and realize like he's a good person, and it's cute, and I love it. And I'm a big sports romance fan, but I love the fact that they are both athletes in this one. That's something that I really, really like about this book, how dedicated she is to soccer, just like he is. Okay, let's go to historical next. Next, we have my favorite Tessa Dare, which is Do You Want to Start a Scandal? I absolutely love this book. It's so funny because this book is about the girl named Charlotte, who she's at this kind of like party where they're supposed to be, you know, like finding husbands, and she's there with her mother as her chaperone, and her mother, she knows that her mother is gonna go after this, I don't think he's a duke, he's just a lord, he's titled, he's rich and titled, and she knows that at this party he's who her mom is gonna like push for, and so she goes to him in this room, and he's like, you can't be in here, like if we're found in here you're gonna be ruined, because they're alone, they don't have a chaperone. And she's there to tell him that, she's like, hey, my mom is gonna push me onto you, I don't want to be with you, I'm sorry for that. And while they're in this room, the two of them, and they're scandalous for them to be alone in this room together, but they're just talking, and while they're in this room together, these two people burst into the room and they go and hide. These the main characters go and hide, Piers and Charlotte, and they're hiding, and these couple starts having sex in this room, and they're loud, and so people are hearing them outside, and those people are able to escape and leave, and they don't get, Piers and Charlotte are hiding, they don't want to be seen, so they don't get to see who that was, and Piers and Charlotte then come out of hiding and are seen by people, and they're ruined, and she's like, crap, now we've got to get married. He's like, we're gonna have to get married now, you're ruined. Everyone thinks that we were having sex in this room, and she's like, no, I don't want to marry you. So she makes it her mission to find out who those people were, and it's like this little mysterious situation where she's like going through all of the people, and she's trying to solve the mystery of like who were having sex in the room, to prove that she's not ruined and that they shouldn't get married. But then along the way they fall in love, and it's so cool and fun, and it was so funny. He was like so confused by the fact that she wouldn't marry him. He was like, okay, we're ruined, like you're ruined, I will marry you, and she's like, no, I don't want to marry you. And he's just so confused by this. He's like, wasn't the whole point of you coming to this party to meet a titled man and get married? You're accomplishing that goal, marry me. And she's like, no, I'm not ruined, I'm gonna go find out who it was. And I just love it, and I laugh every time I read it because it's just so fun and ridiculous, and she just she won't take no for an answer, and she's like absolutely gonna find out who it was, and it's great. I love it so much. If you need a historical, if you're interested in reading a historical and you've never read one before, this is a great one. Okay, I've been gushing too much. I have 3 more to get to. Okay, next one is Blindsided by Amy Dodds. This one is a friends to lovers romance with a plus size heroine who loves cats and knitting and sewing, and is obsessed with the TV show Heartland and horses, and she is just like a very real, very ridiculous, fun woman named Freya. And the hero is a sexy Scottish soccer/football player named Mac, who has a thick Scottish accent and is big, muscular, and tattooed. And they're best friends, and they're like sort of secret best friends, because Freya's like, it doesn't make sense that you're my friend. But they're like best friends. And they hang out all the time, and they watch Heartland together, and they eat food at Freya's house. And it's like their friendship is really, really adorable. And Freya's kind of self-deprecating. She's very much like, she's too plus sized, and she is too awkward, and she doesn't know how to talk to men or people in general, and she needs help because she has no idea. And she's a virgin, and she is gonna be 30. I think she's gonna be 30 soon. It's her birthday soon, and she doesn't want to be a virgin anymore, but she has no idea how to talk to men, and she's so awkward, and she's like, Mac, help me out. And so Mac agrees to kind of teach her how to be more comfortable around the men that she's attracted to, and teach her how to flirt and attract men and not make a fool of herself, basically, which then leads to sex lessons and love. And it's so good. And listen to the audiobook. Will Watt as Mac is the best thing ever. It is Will Watt in his absolute best performance I have heard from him ever. I love his narration, but him as Mac with the Scottish accent and the brogue, it's perfect. Listen to it. Okay, the next one is my favorite historical ever, and that is Never Seduce a Scot by Maya Banks. This is a Romeo and Juliet type situation where the clans are feuding. So it's the Armstrongs and the Montgomerys do not get along. They are feuding clans, and the king is like, you can't be feuding anymore because you could fight each other and that would be bad for me. And so he's like, okay, I'm gonna make it this like a declaration that the laird of the Montgomery clan has to marry the daughter of the laird of the Armstrong clan. And they are not about that, especially because Evelyn Armstrong, who is the daughter of the laird of the Armstrong clan, people think she's nuts. They say she's touched. She doesn't react when people speak to her sometimes. She's off in her own world. She had a horse accident a couple of years ago, and she's never been the same, and people think that she's nuts, and that she's like been touched by the devil. And her parents are super worried about her going, because she doesn't talk, she doesn't do, she's disabled, and her parents are worried that Graham's gonna take advantage of her. And Graham's pissed because he's like, I don't want to marry somebody, I'm never gonna be able to have a real marriage with her because she's crazy, and I don't want to take advantage of her. He's a very good man, and he doesn't want to take advantage of her. He's like, we can never have a true marriage, we can never have sex, but I won't cheat on her because she's my wife. And so they get married, and Evelyn goes to live in the Armstrong clan, and even though she doesn't speak, she has a very certain way of like declaring what she wants and like getting her what she like, of communicating, and they learn that she is a very strong woman, and that she has very strong ideas about what this marriage is going to be, and eventually they find out that she is not actually crazy, but that she's deaf. And Graham is the sweetest hero ever. He is a Scottish laird, he's a brute, he's wonderful, but he's the sweetest man ever, and he is so willing to take care of her. He gets so angry when his clan are rude to her and mean to her because she's an Armstrong and they don't like Armstrongs. And they were like, and Graham's like, but she's my wife and you will respect her as the mistress of this clan. She's my wife and I will not let you talk to her that way or treat her that way. And all she wants to do is be accepted. And it's so cute and it's wonderful and I love it. It's wonderful. There are trigger warnings in this one though, so make sure you check those before you read it if you have triggers. We're on the last one. The last one that I want to talk about is Billionaire by Serena Bowen. I couldn't do this video without including this book because I adore this book. It is the book that inspired my deep love of Serena Bowen. When I read this book for the first time, it was on Audible Escape, RIP, and I listened to it, and then as soon as it finished, I waited for it to restart again and then restarted and listened to the whole thing over again. Because I loved it so much. I have probably read it a good 6-7 times at this point. I love it so much. It is a billionaire romance. CEO assistant, Nate Kattenberger. He owns a tech company similar to like Apple, and he is a billionaire, and he also owns a hockey team. And this is his romance with Rebecca, who has been his personal assistant since the beginning, since before the company like went crazy and big and he became a millionaire. She's known him since the beginning of when they were like 4 people in an office. And she, once he made it big and he purchased this hockey team, he sent her to Brooklyn to run and manage this hockey team. And she always thought of that as like a demotion. She didn't know why he sent her away. He has a new assistant in the city and she's confused and all. Anyway, one day she steps onto the ice and she ends up slipping and hitting her head, and she needs time to recover. She has a concussion. And she lives with her sister, her sister's boyfriend, and their baby. And the house is never calm and never peaceful. Nate's like, why don't you come recover at my house? I'm not going to be there. And even if I am there, the house is huge, so you'll have space to yourself. It'll be quiet and calm and you can recover easier. And it ends up being like, there are some great caretaking scenes. And it sparks this romance between them. Please read it. I love it so much. It's like every time I read it, I feel like I'm just like greeted by old friends, and that's how I feel when I read almost all of these books. I feel like I'm getting a hug. I feel like I'm just like saying hi to old friends. And I love them so much. So if you ever have a bad day, or if you ever just are feeling like you need some cheering up or some reason to smile, I would recommend all of these books. There's something for everyone. But that's it for this video. I hope you like it. I give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.